Well, we've added snow to the list. We're rocking like 35 degrees right now, so fun times. All is good. Typical Alaskan fall time weather. But as you guys probably saw, I did a little video here showing off this cab over and kind of explained the plan of what's going to go on. We're going to pull this motor out and pull that motor out and put this motor in that truck and make that F600 live again. So that's kind of the plan ahead. Now, if you haven't seen that video, be sure to go watch it. And if you haven't seen what's up with the F600, be sure to go watch those videos. But anyways, moving forward here, we're going to get this cab tipped up, and then I'm going to go through the whole process and see if this old motor will fire up. Shouldn't take too much. I think she's pretty well healthy and everything, but we'll see. Check the fluids and put a battery to it, and probably oil up the cylinders because, well, we know that stuff tends to work good unless you got a rod through the block. But yeah, we'll do that whole process and see if we can make this old thing run. It's been sitting for at least 10 years is what I was told, so good little revival here in the snow. Should be a good time. All right, now that we got the cab tipped up, take a look at everything again. Seems pretty straightforward. You know, you got nice rotten belts that are sure enough to break and fly off and whack you in the face the second it starts running. So we'll leave those. And I mean, other than that, we got our fuel pump here with our fuel line that goes nowhere. So we can just stick a hose on the end of that and down into a jug, or just take it off here and do the same thing with a new hose. And hopefully the fuel pump will come back around. If not, we'll just feed it from the top and keep it going. And then pull all 8 spark plugs out, squirt ATF in the cylinders, the usual stuff like that. And clean the points, make sure those are good. You guys know the routine. One thing I will say though, it's kind of nice being able to just, you know, stand in here and, you know, get to everything and see everything. That's kind of a difference for once. I kind of like the whole cab over concept now that I have experienced it. So that stuff, our battery cables appear to be all intact, so we should be able to use those just fine. Cross the solenoid here once we got power hooked up. It's got coolant in it, and oil is there. Not too terribly dirty and rather over full, but that could be because we're leaning forward right now. Am I going to do anything about it? Probably not, but we'll just keep on going. And yeah, I think that's it. We'll just work in that direction, clean the points, oil the cylinders, do all that boring stuff that you guys have seen a million times, and then we'll come back around. And once we're ready to crank it over and see what happens, then we'll check in. The engineering that they put into the whole cab over concept is rather interesting. Like, you just look at the shifter linkage stuff going on. You got, it looks like a steering shaft. Like, what is going on with that? I don't know how that works. And they probably paid the guy that did know how it works way too much. And then the throttle is pretty cool because you got this, you know, adjustable rod that goes to this bracket that's obviously been broken and repaired a million times because, well, that wasn't a great idea, but it does a lot of what it's supposed to. I will say that. And the fact that all this stuff stays intact when you tip the cab up too, that's kind of neat. And then I don't even know how the shifter works. There's like all kinds of goofy stuff over there, but I don't know. It's just kind of cool to compare to like conventional trucks that I mess with around here. So this is the first cab over I've ever really screwed around with, so it's kind of neat to compare to. But yeah, I just wanted to point that stuff out. Well, got all 8 spark plugs out. They look about even all the way across. Needs a good cleanup on the wire brush, but no big deal. These are old Napa brand spark plugs. Kind of funny. But now that those are all out, we'll get ATF down the cylinders. I'll go in and clean up all those spark plugs. And we'll hook up power to this and wheel it over with the oil in the cylinders. Let it shoot out rather than put the plugs back in and then just instantly foul them. So we'll go ahead and do all that, and I'll show you guys what it does. Cylinders are all oiled up. I just threw a battery in it and nothing arced or anything when I put the cables on, so there must not be any kind of a draw or anything. So we'll just kind of stand out of the line of fire here and we'll cross the solenoid and see if she turns over or not. That's a big negative. That's neat. Maybe if we just, keep doing the same thing. Well, the solenoid doesn't seem to want to work, so I just went directly to the starter with jumper cables, and well, it looks nice and clean under there at least. Points aren't too bad, but we'll clean them up. Other than that, everything looks fine. All right, points are clean. So now I've got a jumper wire from the positive side of the battery over here, and we're going to put it on the coil. Now, essentially, this is bypassing the entire truck's electrical system, so we can just give the coil direct power, not need an ignition switch, anything like that. So we're going to hook this up to the coil, and we'll see if it works by opening the points. And as you can see, they work. So theoretically, we should have spark out to a spark plug, which the cap seems clean. I cleaned up the rotor a little bit, so we'll go ahead and slap this all back together. And we'll get set up here with an extra spark plug, and we'll throw one of the wires on it, and we'll wheel it over, and we'll see if we got spark through the wires and out to the plugs. All right, we're set up here to check for spark. This whole jumper cable situation kind of sucks because they're just a cheap set and they're super light duty, so they're not going to carry the amperage too well. And they're going to heat up a bunch, so we got to do this in, short amount of time. But we'll just watch that plug there as I crank it over. Don't know if you guys can see it, but we got spark on that one, so we'll get some fuel and then see if she'll bark off or not. it seems to want a lot of fuel. Big industrial V8, go figure. So I went and grabbed my electric fuel pump, an old retro AC unit, pretty cool. And I rigged up a fuel system here, and it should work fine. Ignore the really sketchy ground on that. You don't gotta worry about that. And then I took the fitting for the stock fuel line off, put another one in that I had, so that should work. We're all topped off on the primer bottle, and it's cranking over slow like I thought it would, but I think she'll kick off and get going once we got fuel getting pushed to it. So we'll get set up with the camera and see what happens. Well, it sounds pretty good. The thing had a massive vacuum leak, so I had to compensate for it with the choke. But I took care of that, so we'll fire it back up again. And we'll see what it sounds like now. Go back over here to this spaghetti wiring operation we got going on. And hope for the best. Should be good. Or not. Well, it's a good runner. Sounds nice and everything. Doesn't make any noises other than, you know, the typical old exhaust leaks that these things do, just like an FE. So, yeah, I'm happy with it. I think it's safe to go ahead and pull it and get it all prepped up and ready to drop into the F600. Now, whether I get to that here in the near future or maybe next spring, I'm not sure yet. It's going to depend on how much snow we get, and it's supposed to come off cold here in the next couple days, so that would make doing all that kind of miserable. And more snow means I got to clean that thing off more to get it inside, and I don't even know if it's going to fit inside yet, so I guess we'll just have to see what happens. At least try and get this thing pulled and then get it in the shop for the winter, and then I can, you know, put it on a stand and start cleaning things up. I want it, you know, somewhat clean and nice before it gets dropped into that other truck, just because might as well do a nice job. But yeah, don't know what's going to happen with it yet, but at least we know it runs, and we got to do a little revival on it, so that's always good. And hope you guys enjoyed, and be sure to stay tuned for whatever comes next, which, getting into winter, we're not sure yet, so I'll figure out plenty of entertaining stuff to do to keep you guys entertained. So yeah, till the next video, I'll see you guys later.